This is a visual artifact made for The Little Prince, a book published into English translation in the year of 1943 by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Just for a little background information on The Little Prince, The Little Prince book isn't a children's book, even though it is seen by many as one. This book has many layers and meanings in it. For example, some say the character The Little Prince is a Christ-like figure. But I've seen the events that go throughout the book, and I might disagree. This is not a children's book, but how raw it is. To show for that, there's a tipler in the book. A children's book will not have a drunkard part of the story, although this drunkard plays an interesting role in the book. This book as well has many philosophical meanings and relations, such as common knowledge, questions throughout the Little Prince book, and as well dealing with questioning moral, what is right and what is wrong. The Little Prince from time to time questions what people are doing and what is right and wrong. Some quotes for Little Prince that inspire this design is, "But the eyes are blind, one must look with the heart," relating to the unseen details in this design and how one must look deeper into the meaning. Another is, "All grown-ups were children once, although few of them remember it." This relates to a theme that is remembrance and acknowledgement that will be later explained in this tea time review. As well, giving an inspiration for this Little Prince artifact, there was a Bible verse that is Romans 1:20. "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse." This verse, Romans 1:20, inspired this Little Prince artifact because it relates to the unseen and seen layers in its work. There are meanings that are known and unseen to the naked eye, as well the artifact being understood by any person that may come across it, so that they may not question its design and layers. Now let's begin the tour of this piece of work. For starters, this piece of work represents the many themes in the Little Prince book, such as emotions, time, perspective, captivity and isolation, size and imagination. These listed are the main themes shown in some way in this design. If you were to look down at the work from above, you could try to make, and if you do, it is a face, just part of the face of the Little Prince. His face on the left has some small details, such as the teardrop, his hair, and somewhere under is a small character that is the Little Prince and then his rose. At the same time of being his face, it serves as a representation of the Little Prince's home planet. The teardrop represents emotions and feelings. Under the Little Prince's face, there's a small star which reads, "Somewhere far." This as well represents his home at the same time. Now, moving on to the eye on his face, it reads, "Can't see what I see." And again, this represents a theme, and that theme is perspective. The small character and his rose shows and gives a feeling of size, another theme in the Little Prince. Now moving on again, we go to look at the hair, and in the hair is a fox, a character in the Little Prince. His hair as well represents the wheat fields, since the fox in the story remembered the Little Prince by the wheat fields nearby, which as well represents memories and acknowledgement. Carrying on from the face, we go on to the right side, with these figures and pieces. In the back, there's a game controller, and there's a question mark sprouting from it, which represents control. The question mark is questioning whether there's control or not. Behind the game controller is a tree known as a baobab, which means the unseen sins or negatives. In The Little Prince, baobabs are bad plants if not taken care of or will destroy the Little Prince's planet, so he must control them from getting bigger. In front of the game controller is a man in white cloth, which is like the narrator being in a mindless sheep that is caged in isolation and cannot go anywhere. Just as the narrator is stuck in the middle of the Sahara in the story in the Little Prince book. Now on the Little Prince's left eye on the right, there's a baobab growing out of it. And where the baobab is, under it reads limited. Then the small blue circle is actually a clock. So there is limited time, giving a theme of time. After that, this concludes and wraps up this explanation of this visual artifact.